Going live. Oh my God. You're live. Excellent. Test-driven development. One very, very tough topic that I wanted to cover for a long time. Now, before we even start, I want to tell you this is recorded on YouTube. The recording will remain available for you. The link will be posted. It's already on the page of the meetup. And I want to start this with, I will fire a poll in the Zoom room that I am driving this. So please vote, those of you who are in the Zoom room, please vote A, B, C. A, if I never did TDD ever. B, if you tried TDD several hours on some personal work, or C, if you've applied TDD on my project. If I am that lucky to have practiced test-driven development on my project. There are few people that lucky. I'm curious, what's your experience by now? Okay, so these are the questions here. Waiting for answers several moments. All right, good. Test-driven development. Let's define it. To be perfectly honest, I should introduce myself. That should be there. My name is Vitorenta. I'm coding in Java for a lot of years, too many years. I'm doing trainings at different companies on the Java ecosystem stuff, architecture, domain-driven design, clean code, unit testing. The stuff that hello, Mish. The stuff that I will be talking to you about is unit testing, which is it's TDD part of the unit testing discussion, performance, reactive programming, and secure coding. And I'm also doing these kind of events at different conferences and meetups. And I have this beautiful community of mine that for which I shared this event today, which called Bucharest Software Craftsmanship Community. More than 4,000 people in here, forever remote, forever in English, ever more. Good. So I had this community that I'm sharing with stuff every month. I'm trying, and I'm now bringing more people to tell you stuff. And these events remain recorded on my YouTube channel. And I also do in-house training. This is how I earn a living technically. And I also do mixed groups with people from different companies. I just did yesterday, I just finished a training about clean code with people from 15 companies joining a single group. More details on my website. All right, and I also have some teachable stuff. But let's get to the business. So, test-driven development, a short introduction. You are teaching TDD to others. Yeehaw, Steven. So please share your experience in the chat. Let's have okay. This TDD, what will happen today? Sorry. There is also Ralph around. I'm really sorry. So Ralph is helping me to keep on track, to not get distracted and not do some silly mistakes about the discipline of doing TDD. So Ralph, you've seen Ralph in one of the mob sessions. Okay. He's here somewhere. I don't know. So Ralph is here to assist me. Okay, and feel free to use the chat. Feel free to tell me whatever you feel the moment you have an idea. Don't keep it for you. Share it in the chat and in the YouTube stream. All right, good. So in TDD, that's a discipline. It's a way to write code in which we grow software in small baby steps, for which we write every time the tests before the implementation. There is a super. Why do I and many technical coaches use TDD in their activity? Because in my opinion, at least, TDD is one of the best ways to grow your design skills. Okay, better programming is better. Okay, but TDD done carefully is actually even more good than some careful code reviews. They all help, but TDD is in the top most useful things if you want to grow your design and your coding skills technically. All right. I can see that most of you never tried TDD. Some of you tried on your own, and pretty few, less than 1/3 of you, have had the opportunity to do TDD on your project, on your real project. Okay. Short round trip through the flow. There is this famous red-green refactor workflow in TDD. We start by writing a failing test for a new feature that doesn't exist yet. We see the test failing, and the moment we are trying to write the test, we will discover more questions about the requirements that we are planning to implement. Then we write the test, the test is failing, proving that the test is correct. You have to see it failing, very important. I might not be careful at some point, so stop me if I don't see my test failing first. Then, after the test is read, you go and you make it pass. And when you make it pass, you do not care about quality. You don't give a shit about quality. You make a mess of your code. The inventor of TDD, Kent Beck, which is also the author of JUnit and many people consider Kent Beck to be the father of unit testing in general. Kent Beck, who invented test-driven development, said that we wanted for developers to feel guilty when they take shortcuts and write the code as fast as they can. We want them to feel guilty, so then by remorse, it's natural that a refactor phase comes. But when he separated the phase in which you want to make the test pass from the test in which you refactor code, if you mentally separate the two activities, what you gain is that you can focus on either making it work first and then cleaning it. Don't try to shoot two rabbits at the same time. Don't try to run on two goals. Make it work first and then clean it. Okay? And we will refactor when we see the tests green. We will be refactoring, continuously running the tests to prove that we did not break anything. And then we will take the next feature. Every time picking the simplest case remaining from the requirements. This is another very important thing. You need to learn to slice down a feature to the most trivial case you could ever find. And you continue building test after test in this style. There are several more details about this slide that I will come back to it at the end. Let's jump in. Bowling rules. And I'll try to move faster than usual. The game consists of 10 frames. 10 frames. So the real world talks about frames. If you ever played bowling, then this score might be familiar to you. This is what is displayed when you play bowling. Now, these are the 10 frames that we are talking about here. Okay, 10 frames. And then the score of the entire game is the sum of the scores for those 10 frames, basically. In each frame, the player has 2 rolls to knock down 10 pins. Technically 2 balls. They give you 2 balls and you have to roll down the 10 pins. For non-native English, pin is that thing. This is a pin, okay? Pin, right. Now, the score for the frame is the total number of pins knocked down plus bonuses for strikes and spares. Let's read the spec once and then I'll see which is the simplest rule to implement, simple example to implement. So, the game has 10 frames, and the score for one frame is the total number of pins knocked down in the 2 rolls that were fired. For example, here, let me give a simple example, 91, 7, 2. You rolled 7, you rolled a 2, which means that you do plus 9 for this frame. Okay, the 2 number of pins rolled, the total number of rolled is added, and it becomes the score of that frame. Now, a spare is when the player knocks down all the 10 pins in his 2 rolls. So there are 10 pins in front of you. You roll down 5 with the first ball, and with the second ball you roll 5 more down. The bonus for that frame is the number of pins knocked down by the next roll. So what does that mean? It means that if you fire here 5, and then the next ball rolls down all the remaining other 5 balls, this is called a spare. This is how it is signaled in a typical scoreboard. This is a spare, which means that the score for this frame is 10 because you rolled down 5 plus 5, 10, plus the score for the number of pins rolled down in the next frame. So what happened here? You rolled 5 and then dash. So your score was 10 plus the bonus, which is 9 in this case, 9. I struggled for 30 minutes when I first played bowling with my friend Sanders, and how the hell was that score going on? Then here, plus 9 from here equals 19. So if you sum 35 plus 19, does it work? No, it doesn't.
No, it's not the whole, it's not both rolls, it's just the first one.
The first roll, sorry, thank you. Thank you. So 5 plus 10 plus 7 is 17. 35 plus 17, let me call my daughter, equals 52. Good. 52. Excellent. This is this is the spare. Wow. So the score for one frame depends on the number of pins rolled down in the next frame. Oh, good. And now the strike is when you knock down all the pins in the first roll. It's typically represented by an X. This is a strike. When you do a strike, then I think the next two rolls, right? The next two rolls, yes. The next two rolls count up as the score for that frame. So you see, it's very awkward because the score after this, the score for this frame is influenced by what you do afterwards. Very weird, very, very weird. Okay, these are hard to implement. I can feel already. I mean, I have to go back. Ooh. And then there is one more rule that I don't think we will get that far, but let's see. In the 10th frame, a player who rolls a spare or a strike, what does that mean? If you roll a strike, for example, so if you knock down all the 10 balls on the 10 pins from the first ball, you get one extra ball to complete the frame. So technically speaking, I'm lying. In the 10th frame, the frame is rolled to allow the extra balls to complete the frame. No more than 3 balls can be rolled. So if you are the most lucky guy on earth, you can roll 10. I mean, strike, 3 balls. Or you could roll but wait, these are too complicated examples. Let's start small. Let's start with understanding stuff and already building some stuff and debating about easier things. That was a hard discussion. Let's start with the simplest ones. So, the test. Next, the first challenge is what should be my first test? 10 frames. In each frame of the player has 2 rolls to knock down 10 pins. Well, what am I trying? So, you're required. Write a class game that has 2 methods. Roll of an integer and score that returns an integer back, the total score for that game. Roll with an integer. That's it. They don't tell you if it's part of one frame or another. No, so this tells me that I have somehow to keep track of what frame am I in. It just tells me what are the number of pins knocked down. It's called every time a player rolls a ball. The argument is the number of pins knocked down. Okay, so these are the 2 methods that I have already in my code. I've just created these 2 methods. So the bowling game implementation class is empty right now. It has roll and score. What is the score initially? I hope 0, right? There are some other questions that I will come back at the end if there are questions that are a bit out of scope for now. Okay? Now, the first example that I could ever come up with. Let's say it's the first time you played bowling, right? Zashadow. There is one guy on YouTube who played yesterday the first time. And what was your score? The first ball, 0. Second ball, 0. Third ball, 0. So what if I just fire 0, 0, 0, 0? That's it. So let's try. New bowling game. Okay, new bowling game. And this is the game that I will be calling stuff. And I have to roll 0. How many times? That's the question now. How many times? I mean, if I look at this API, right now, if I say game score, what is this? Is it correct to call score at this point in time? I mean, no, because the total score for the game. But am I supposed to return in-flight score? Like, what's the score right now? For example, if I just fire 0, your score you could think that it's 0, but but then what's the best thing to do now? Right now, this is how would you know? So the implementation class is empty, nothing we wrote here, and we are already sending an email to the business. Hey business, yeah. Can you tell me, am I supposed to give you like in-flight interim scores? So no, technically no, because some other system keeps track of the state of the game. Okay. Thank you. So then this means that I have to provide how many zeros? Well, there are 10 frames, right? 10 frames. Now, 0 0. You get 2 chances here, 2 chances here, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and at the end you get 2 chances. You remember the rule? You get the last roll only if you hit a spare or a strike in one of the last rolls, one of the rolls in the last frame. So it's not, yeah, it's not really. There are only 2 balls per frame. Even in the third frame, even in the last frame, if you didn't fire, if you didn't hit a strike or a spare. So I have to do this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, stop. What are you doing? What are you doing? No. Nah. Ugly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't even write this test. I'm sorry. No. So what I will do, of course, a 4. I can't do that. So 20 times, okay? 4i. Oops. 4i. Thank you. And then to 20. Good. And I will do a roll of 0 20 times. This is like the worst game possible. Okay? Worst game. Good. Then you do a roll and you ask score. The score should return your value. Okay, I'm still writing the test first. And notice the production is empty. This is the score. And then you say the score should equal to what? Well, 0, of course. What the heck? I didn't do anything. 0, 0, 0. So this is the first test. So which I'm now running. Okay, production is empty. I already have my PO, my business already has an email in their inbox. Aren't things like for loops discouraged in the test? This is a very hot discussion over there. It's indeed dubious to put complex logic inside your tests, and I'm talking here about building complex testing frameworks. But a for loop, there are 2 opinions here out there. One opinion says that you should test the testing framework. I don't buy that. The other says, that if you wrote a bad testing framework, your test will fail anyway. 99%. I know we are engineers, nothing is perfect, but okay. I see also in the chat in the YouTube ideas to hold an array of integers. Wait a second. Why? I just have to provide a 0 back. I know how to fix this. 0. The test will be green, ladies and gentlemen. The test will be green. I know this is stupid, and right now some of you are trying to close the window. What the heck is this? Is this what I want to do with my time for? It's just the beginning, right? Just wait a second. So the simplest possible implementation to do to get the text green. Remember the flow? The simplest possible implementation you can write. The simple possible implementation to write in production to make the test green is to return a 0. Good. If you want to write more things in here, you have to provide better examples. So here's the next example. What if I roll 19 zeros and then let's say 1 pin down? We will come back to names a bit. 1 pin down. 1 pin. I only roll, okay, dot roll 1. So the first roll, you hit down a pin, and then 19 more 0, 0, 0, 0. And then you expect, of course, to have 1 over here. Quick trick. I want to show you one thing. What if I forget to change the test? I write the test, and I jump to production to I need some counter, I need something to count down. Do you see that the test is now green? It's a new test. It's a new test, which if I run it, green. This is bad. Remember the rule? You want to see the test failing. Every time you write a new test, see it failing. If you keep to that rule, you will detect cases like that. Well, wait a second. This is sorry. I should expect 1. Okay. I know some of you see something here. I know. Just wait a second. Let's make. So now we have a failed test. So I am allowed to go to production. I am allowed. Okay. God gave me the right to touch production. This is the feeling. Here, red. What to do? Excellent, Nacho. Excellent. Could we make sense to commit before writing the new test? Very good. I will actually do that next time. If you read what I mentioned, Kent Beck, one of my in my opinion, it's my idol, if I can say that. This guy right now is focusing on a technique called TCR, test and commit or revert. What does that mean? You write the test. If it's green, you commit. Otherwise, you revert everything and you start again. It is the most brutal form of TDD. Yeah, that you can cry. This is how adults cry when they practice. It's extremely hard. But I will invite you to read into this. Look, I think this is actually a good. Put it in the chat here. All right. Good. Now, coming back. So I have a red test. I'm allowed to go to production. The easiest way I could ever think, I can't put one here because I will break the other test. But instead, I could do something like count. How many? Okay. How many pins have you rolled down? And count plus equal pins. Good. Am I done? Let's see. Yeah, Laura, TCR is not for production. It's for to practice and to sharpen your skill. I mean, you could, yeah, I don't know, but you have to have a kind of a team like, wow. Some people consider TDD to be too hard for real life also. But wait, it didn't work. Oh, sorry. Count. Okay. Not a good name, but yeah, let's see. Okay. Am I green now? Let's see. Green, excellent. Next test. But I know. What the hell? What, really? Really that much? The rule in TDD says that you should extract stuff when you repeat it 3 times. Actually, that's a rule from extreme programming. If you copy paste something 3 times, you extract. Okay, you stop and you stop everything, you extract. So let's squeeze and let's. What could be another test that I could write? Yuvaraj saw a simpler way to implement this, which still passes the test. Okay, if you just do count equal pins, look who practiced TDD before. This is the kind of thinking that you get if you practice TDD. Wait a second, there is a simpler way I could make the test pass, or not. Why? Wait. What am I doing wrong? Count equal pins. Oh no, doesn't work. Because you will reassign the value. No, so you have to add. Sorry, you have to add. Wait, what could be a next test? Are we finished with counting just regular frames? In other words, if I look at these requirements, can I check this off? The score for this frame is the total number of pins knocked down plus bonuses for strikes and spares. Yeah, the score, total number of pins. Okay. So, let's see next. Let's see spare. How would we implement spare? What about pins more than 10? Very good. So you could have these ideas. What if someone claims to have marked here 11? You can't possibly knock down 11 pins. There are no 11 pins. Hey, business. Who is supposed to validate that thing? Me or they? And I said, you, okay. The moment he tells me that the input is not validated yet, then I might want to add this test. So let's think, what should I do? Technically, I just have to try to roll 11. If I try to roll 11, nothing else will happen, right? So too large roll. Okay, then this thing over here needs to be bundled in an assert that thrown by this of a lambda. I'm using assert4j, the best assertion framework in Java. This is throwing an exception. What exception? Illegal argument exception. Instance of illegal argument exception dot. Come on, you know the class. Thank you, class. Okay, run the test. They should be red. Fix the test. I'm not honestly very happy with this, but if we traced it, why not? Wait, there are many questions in there. Would it be too much simplified in your opinion to start from a single frame instead of the entire game? That would decompose too much. I don't know. tricky.
It is tricky, but a valid approach. It goes into the direction of outside-in TDD or not.
Exactly.
I just wanted to write maybe in the discussion section.
Very cool questions here.
Very good question, yeah.
Very good question. Mircea saw that we could decompose the design to a smaller grain design, and we can talk about a frame, and then assert the score of a frame. I don't like this for two reasons. If I test in isolation the frame, then first thing, I will start introducing maybe mocks at some point. For such a simple problem as I have right now in front of me, mocks are too complex. So in other words, I think I'm strong enough to test the whole story. If the cyclomatic complexity of the number of tests to write are so huge, so many branches, then I will test the frame in isolation. Well, this is the first reason. The second reason is that the score of a frame depends on the next frame. This is a knockout. You can't handle the score of a single frame unless you talk about the whole set of frames. So this is a knockout for me. I can't write that test. Whew, interesting. The style of TDD that we're practicing here is not outside in. It's the classicist, or the so-called Chicago style, the original style of TDD, in which we handle the whole problem as a whole, without looking into internal implementation details. As a matter of fact, I don't think I will create a frame just now. This is red, so let's test. If pins more than someone is waiting to tell me, what if the roll is a negative number, probably, but just a second. More than 10, then throw in an Allegro exception, okay? And because I feel the question in the air, let's do that. -1, okay? Negative roll. Now, a word about naming. Throws when negative roll, or for negative roll, okay? Throws for too large roll, okay? Returns 1 for 1 pin down, okay?
And we
What happens
that you
when?
have run the tests in between, right?
I never saw the test becoming green. I rushed. This is why I need the drive. Hey, Victor. Hey, what's up? How's life? Did you run? Oops. Boom. What should I do? I rushed. What should I do? Humbly comment the new test and fix the test before. Apparently, something I did wrong here. What? Assert that wrong by game roll 11, and it's not illegal. Oops! Argument. Oh, come on. Argument exception. Thank you. Okay, the test was bad. Good. Assert that score is 0. I don't like that. It's too. Assert that illegal argument exception is thrown by. Wow, no. Okay, green. And now I uncomment the new test for the new behavior. Pay attention about one thing. I said here to focus on the simplest happy cases first. You can get very rapidly depressed if you cover all the possible aberrant cases first. You should cover edge cases, but they don't drive the implementation further. I won't prioritize them. So if you come up now with other examples, well, you know what I'll do? I will put the examples that you come up with as tests that don't have a body, maybe even without annotations, and leave them to implement later after I do more progress about the design and real implementation. So covering boundary conditions is not, it is useful, but not something you want to do first. You first focus on the happy cases, but the most simple of all, the most simple of them. Okay, so let's go for spare. First of all, let's see. Did I implement this test? No. If pins less than 10 or pins less than 0, yes, pins, then throw a regular argument exception. Next thing, the spare. What could be the easiest way to implement this, to write the test for the spare? So the first question is how. The same problem here. The first question is what test can I come up with to demonstrate a spare? What's the easiest test to write? Come on, well, let's see. What would be the easiest test to write to demonstrate? Because I didn't really I don't know why. I split the name with not underscore and without. I don't care. It's by mistake. Not. Yeah. It should be consistent, but not. 5 plus 5. Let's try that. Let's try that. What if I roll a 5? Because that's a spare, right? So spare. Let's see. So here on my game, I roll a 5, and then another 5. And then what? And then the game score, okay, should be equal to 10. That could be a test to check the spare. Let's follow the workflow. I wrote a test for a feature that I believe is not yet implemented, and I want to check the test is failing. Just a second. Green. We have a problem. What am I missing? There are 2 problems around, if you see. First, yeah, rest of the rounds. Yeah, I could add the rest of the rounds, but you see, I don't really need that. Interesting. So my, as my business told me, I'm not supposed to check the consistency of stuff. All right? I'm not supposed to check the consistency of stuff. But yes, exactly, Angelo, on YouTube. A spare on the first frame plus some pins on the next roll. So I need after 5-5, one more, let's see, 1. Now that's more like it, because this will be a spare. And then the score for the first frame will be 10 plus 1 from the next one. The score for the first frame will be 11, and the score for the next frame will be 1. So it will be 11 plus 1, 12. Ouch. Okay. Okay, what next? If we do that, how can we implement this? Please note the kind of temporal coupling in a sense. You can't really compute the score for this frame unless you take into account what comes afterwards. So right now, I have to start talking about the next roll. The next roll. The next roll. That requires... Why 12? Good question. So let's have a debate. Georgia is not convinced. Why 12? Let's look here. If you roll a spare, where's my mouse? If you roll a spare, like 5 plus 5, then let's say in our case was 1 and then 0, let's imagine. Now, 1 here is added to the score of this frame. So it's 10 plus the next one, 11. But then 1 also counts in the second frame. Weird, huh? You know how, you notice how much time we are talking about business requirements and not about the frame class? We are talking about requirements, not about implementation details. We are understanding requirements before we lay any code in here. Good. So this time we have to track order, sequence, which comes afterwards. So I don't think I could get away with a count, with a simple count. I don't think so. So this time, let me refactor. Ouch. I have to refactor the code, and the code is not that easy anymore. It is easy, but let's pretend it's complicated. So we have a failing test. And I want to refactor to completely rewrite the implementation in a different way, because I realize right now for this requirement that I will need to keep a collection of pins, a collection of rows. Someone suggested that on YouTube. You have to keep a collection of rows. So what I'll do next is a bit surprising. I will comment the new test. Comment the last test because it's failed. And I will be throwing myself into refactoring this class. You can't refactor if you are not on green. You only refactor if you are on green test. So I comment the new test, come back on green, and now I refactor the stuff to track if I crash anything. So apparently I need to store them. So in a collection list. No flags. No, DJ. That is a temporal coupling. That is a temporary field, Coachman, that you're suggesting. Quickly explain the point. the suggestion was, we'll introduce a flag. No, this is a temporary field code smell. It's not a good idea. So instead, I will store all the roles here, integer, like roles equals, thank you, new array list, good. And now, whenever you roll, I will roles dot add the new pins that you rolled down, pins, good. Will the test still work? Yeah, because it didn't change anything really. If you look, I didn't touch the existing algorithm. I just wrote code in addition. So the test should still work. And then at the end here, when I have to count, I will just sum them, right? I will just do roles dot stream map to int, all right? Identity, is there an identity function for I arrow I, and then sum. Java 8 style. Java 8, yeah.
Gangnam style.
Good. So that's a big deal. You could ask, what's the big deal? But summing all the numbers in the array. Okay. If this passes, it demonstrates that the count, I've re-implemented it with a list instead. It's green. Good. Super small baby steps. Right? Run again. It should still be green. Good. Next. After I refactor the code, preparing the implementation for the next evolution, I will uncomment the test here. Uncomment the test, run again. I want to see it red again. And if I see it red, I could go and do stuff here. And let's see, this will be like the base score. This will be the base score. Let's do that, base score. Now, what to do next? What to do? Base score. Base score. To the base score, I could add stuff. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Up until now, what we have implemented, in every case that we implemented, we had frames of 2 roles each. Julian, if you add stuff in the role method, you have to what? To maybe that could work. Let's say if let's say roles. Let's try that. If roles, why not? Get of roles dot size -1 plus roles dot get of roles. What is he writing? The previous two are 10. Then what? Some bonus plus equal my pin. Would that work? This is called an experiment. I'm just playing a bit around. Let's say this is like computing the bonus along the way, and at the end I just add bonus. I wonder, would that fix the test? This is an experiment. I actually, the first time I thought of that in this idea. But if that was my idea, I could experiment it very easy. Right? It will break, huh? Because array out of bounds. I can't search for the previous if I'm just firing the first one. So here it is, errors. So maybe if what? If roles of size more than 2, I guess. 0, so 2 minus 2 equals 0, more or equal to 2. I will change the number of pins knocked down, and scores for roles will be non-accurate. I will change the number of pins knocked down. No, that's very weird. Another idea would be to add to pins, not my value, but my value plus more. To get rid of the bonus. By the way, please enjoy green. But another idea was to get rid of this bonus, to just, okay, this will be very weird, but pins times 2. What is he talking about? This could still work. So many ideas, right? This could still work, but this leads to a problem. This bonus thing, it becomes a field in which you can't really track afterwards what's there. Did I do a mistake here? Oh, here. This bonus, plus this solution corrupts the data. You will be adding here a pin of 12 perhaps one day, because it's 6 times 2. So this corrupts the data, and it's a hack. It's a very dirty hack, which is not okay to keep in a long-lived state. I will repeat that. In the long-lived state, you don't keep corrupt data. You compute derived data on the fly when you are asked. No, some more ideas on YouTube. No. Let's see. This is one idea, but I think the better idea is to compute it here, in order not to keep the bonus along the way, right? So what does that mean? It means the bonus, I have to find a way to compute the bonus here, okay? Bonus equals 0. And I will convert a field into a local variable, which is always a good idea. Oh, and by the way, this is actually incorrect. It is incorrect. Let's see an example. This is exactly what I do. If I think I found a case which my implementation is not supporting correctly, I will write the test for it. What's my test? Let's see. This non-spare. This is not a spare. 0.5 is not a spare. 5.1 is not a spare. This should return me 11, not 12. Again, one frame, not a spare. Second frame, not a spare. Total 11. If you run it, exactly. Gulam also pointed to the same example. Very good. Yeah, we're playing. Good. If this test turns red, the implementation here is not correct. So a lot of insights. Actually, I have to care. Red. I have to care on what pin I am. Am I on an index which is odd or not? Oh my God! You could try that, right? You could try that. Size modulo 2 equals 1. Then what am I doing? It's 4 Boolean conditions. Bad. But you can play. You can play. Angelo, you are right, but I will insist on not discovering the frame abstraction. He says, you missed the frame abstraction. Yes, I'm missing it, but I will pretend not to see it yet. This doesn't actually work. I think it's the other way around. I should make it, huh? I don't know, let's try. This is TDD. Let's try. Quick feedback. You don't need to put it to production to get some feedback if you want to try out different ideas. Right? This is one of the big benefits of TDD. You can try out different ideas. Oh my God, we are on 100 live in Zoom and 50 on YouTube. Oh my God, this is getting better and better. Good. So this, no, sorry, but it's already too ugly. No? So I want to implement the same thing, but here. Let's try. It's always a good idea to keep mutable state more narrow scoped. So let's have a bonus here. Do a 4. Now, this 4 will be a bit weird. I warn you. It will be from I to the roll size, but I will advance from 2 with how to say that 2 by jump around. I will jump 2 by 2. Why? To place myself on the beginning of a frame. Increment by 2. Thank you. Thank you. Good. So this bonus right now is added to the. I add to the bonus if what? Let's see. If roll size greater than 2 and roll size, this is no longer. I could. This part I implemented above here. I think this part over here I could fix by just starting from 2. Okay. This is thank you, intelligent. Thank you. Good. And then this is the previous 2 rolls. So if I have a bonus plus equal my rolls get of I. Good. Why is it better? What if you try? What if you hit 10? If I hit 10, just lost the chat. If I hit 10 at my first roll, that's a strike. I'm not yet there. But that will be a horror step. Spare is red. It didn't work. Let's see why. I moved from 2 to 2. Oh, I know why. Because my test is incorrect. here, someone said this at that point, don't you want to finish the game to put 17 more pins? So I will take this from here, put it here, put 17. Let's correct to have consistent correct data, 16. It's the 4th time I wrote this. This is no longer tolerable. If I see green, I will refactor mercilessly the tests. And I also see this growing and growing and strange. Something is missing. Something is missing. Let's see. Spare, still not. What am I doing wrong? Bonus plus equals roles of get of I, and then bonus. So my spare expected 12, but was 11. What am I doing wrong? -1, -2 equals 10, 5, 5. Bonus get of I.
You might want to get the next role. So here you're moving on the very start of a frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm stupid. I'm sorry.
No. Let's see. What am I doing wrong? So I'm starting from 2, taking -2, -1, adding, roll size -1. You mean here? Why does it matter? I -1 and I -2. Oh shit! Sorry, bad word. Bad language. Watch the language. I -1, I -2. Oops. Thank you. This is like swarm programming, crowd program. What's this? 100 people. Good. Let's see. Right. Green. Oh, amazing. Now it's time to refactor the test. This is what I promised. Now, IntelliJ has a very smart way. If you extract this syntax, it will detect that it seems just like the syntax above. I will show you. Roll zeros. This dialog says that this syntax over here is very similar to the syntax here with one single exception. 16 is different than 17. So if you accept the signature change, okay, it will do everything for you. It was 17, it was 16. It replaced approximate syntax. It replaces approximate syntax with a call to actually parameterizes the function more. Right? So what I want to do here is x. This is like the n roles. Good, or number of roles, maybe better, number of roles, and then the game. Why is the game passed as a parameter? Oh, I see now, I see. All right, so of course, this new game should become a field, thank you, good, private. And then this line over here can be removed from everywhere. Okay, in which case the game over here doesn't need to be passed as a parameter. It's already in the context of the class. You know what's the good news? It's all recorded. You can scroll down, you can 75% is a good play rate, I have been told. 75%, the best way to listen to me. Now, this parameter over here can be destroyed. Technically speaking, this parameter I don't need from here at all. So let me change the signature, game, out. Delete, refactor, out. Continue, yes, I know what I'm doing. Game is still there. Thank you. So, roll zeros. But here, this also can be improved. What's that smell? Varargs? Exactly. On the spot. Perfect. So, private void roll. What? Int array. This is so good. These events are getting better and better every time. It's so cool. So I will just for true them, okay? So pins.for, okay, and then game.roll of pin. It's actually not really correct. Pins array. Pins are multiple pins rolled down. Pins array. Sorry for this, but this is pins. Little typos, little naming thing, but I'm really very careful with these naming things. Okay, roll, then what? I will roll 0, 5, 5, 1. This is a testing framework, ladies and gentlemen. which is a testing framework already, which abstract over a very ugly API to test. This API is not very fun, but I was forced to do this API because I was told, hey, this is the API. So if I have my hand tied about the tested API, I build testing frameworks. Role, and then I will replace the same here. You get the point. I'm not very keen on doing every single, right? But very important after you refactor tests, please run the tests. Do you know what XOR means? Come on, computer science. It's also written like this. XOR. You know what that means, right? Exclusive OR. You either refactor production or either refactor test. You don't refactor both. And you keep running the tests. Okay? To check you didn't break anything. I'm not saying it's impossible to do stupid things in tests, but much less likely to do a mistake if you do that. Right. Now, one word about the shape of tests. It's not very correct. This is the given, the context. The when should be extracted clearly out in a normal test. And then the assertions with an empty row in between to express that there are different. The same thing everywhere I should do, but to save time, let's move next. What can I do? I should first clean this stuff up. This can be fun, of course. All right. Yeah. Maybe you know what? Maybe I could try one more example, one more complex example. For example, 2 spares. Just to play. Maybe I'm missing something. Let's see. 5, 5, 5, 5. 1. Okay. Now the complex part is to figure out what's very bad. So 5, 5. This is the first frame. It's 15. And then 5, 5. This is the second frame. It's 10 plus 1, 11, and then 1. 26, 27, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm, I will test my understanding. What version of library does assert that? No, assert that is assert J. Thank you. Yes, assert J. You should completely give up using assert equals. Trust me. Assert equals, the one from JUnit is bad. It's very bad. One problem, it starts with the expected value. Now recently, because I was bored this winter, I started writing plugins, and I actually wrote a plugin that can refactor this to assert J. Who does that? Who does that? Tell me, who does that? I mean, I was very bored. Good. The plugin is like production ready, but yeah. How it's 27? Could you please explain? How it's 27? What? 20? I don't get what you mean. How is 27? Homework. Watch the video. Sorry, it is 27. It's every frame is influenced by the next one. Let me explain. Let's be nice. Look, 5, 5 is the first frame. To that you add the next roll. So the score for the first frame is 15. The second roll is 5, 5. The score is 10, of course, plus the next one. So it's 11. And the third frame is this 1 and the next 0. So then that score is 1. 11 plus 15 plus 1, God help us all, is 27. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. That's very smart. That's very smart. That's way much better. Way much better. Way much better. Okay, why not rolling complete? Because I don't know how many rolls will be there, because in the strike, you will see something bad will happen. I'm cheating a bit, I knew what was coming, but in strikes, you don't know exactly how many rolls are left. That's it's a bit insane. So let's just try to start working on the strike. A strike is when the player knocks down all 10 pins on his first roll. Let's already write the first example for that here. Typically, that should come last, of course. So this is a strike. And, you know, super cool in TDD, you always start by writing a test, which forces you to have a very super clear idea about what you're trying to test. So 10, and then 1. And then, what's the requirement? It says, plus the next 2 rolls. So I need 2 more rolls. Okay. So what's the score now? See, this time, this is the frame. Ouch. And then these 2 were added to the score, so it's 12. And this next frame score is 2, so this is 14. Now this will explode. How many rows are left? Tricky. There are 2 frames out. 16, if I don't if I'm not mistaken. Now, this strike won't be fun to implement, because implementing this will trash this part. God help us all. But do not commit a red test. No, I will, strikes are commit, and I will say spares, done. Strikes are next. Now, what to do? Ralph, help. What to do here?
I think to get deeper into the problem, actually we missed one thing. We didn't introduce the frame so far, which seems to be a business term. And
Yes.
also some people in the chat suggested to do that.
Yes, I see. Yes, true.
If we would introduce the frame to our score method, it should be clearer to implement the strike afterwards.
There are 2 ways from here. One is banging your head to try to fix somehow this part will break horribly. But the better idea is to start creating frames along the way. But that refactor is huge. And again, it's a business term. It wasn't the requirement, but we never used it. But now we reached the point in the specification in which our approach doesn't work anymore. It gets to too messy code. So I commented the new test, coming back on green, and I will start to re-implement all this, introducing this new concept. Final list of frame this time. Frames. What will I do? When one of the most complicated part, I think, is to come up to how do I construct frames? When do I construct frames? On the fly or at the end? If I construct them on the fly, I need somehow to keep track of the last roll, because when the next roll comes, I will say, "Tell my friend, we have a frame." Right? If I construct frames at the end, I could keep the state throughout the game. It's very simple with just a roll, and then at the end construct the frames. I think it's less invasive, less damage to my current code if I keep the frames here and I construct them by traversing the rolls. Let's see if I can do that. That will, so let's try. Last frame. Folks, it will be 10 minutes more than time, but it's recorded. You can leave whenever you want. Don't worry. The main points about EDD we did. All right. Let's just try this. Private final. What? First and second. Roll 1, pin. What's that? Roll 1, roll 2. Okay. Int. Roll 1 and roll 2. All right. Add constructor. No, both of them, please. Add constructor parameter. Thank you. Good. And I don't want to lose Lombok today, so get roll 1, get roll 2. Or maybe, let's see. Do I need to have a getter? Let's wait a second. So roles. Let's create the frames first. How do I create the frames? I need to construct the array list progressively. Now, how? Int I 0. Let's make it J. While. When is the last time you used the while? No, let's not do while today. Let's do again a for I, but tricky. When should I stop? When I reach the end. So roles, size, the same rule. E++. So you always advance. Okay, seems reasonable. Now, let's see if I can get this straight. If the refactoring to only support spares, don't run about for 2 rabbits. I'm just trying to refactor to support spares, nothing more. So every time I will construct a new frame using what? Using the roles get of I and the roles get of I plus 1. This is the frame for every time. And frames.add of my frame. Now, on these frames, I can do this iteration, technically speaking. Let's see. What would it, how would it help me? I didn't break any tests, I promise, but now because I didn't touch the main logic. Now, let's try. Can I rewrite this stuff with frames? Well, frames.for. And then something like this. Right? But, you know, this thing is a method here, is spare. The method is spare returns roll1 plus roll2 equals 10. I will encapsulate conditional, it's called refactoring, hiding away this little Boolean rule, this little business rule. And then I will just iterate to the frames. So if frame dot is a spare, then bonus plus equal rolls, not frames, I only need to use frames. Frames, the next frame, ouch. How do I get the next frame? Damn it. 4, converted to an index for loop, thank you. Frame of, get, the good news, the shortcuts are here, and it's all recorded, I told you. So get what? I plus 1. If there is another thing after me, and then I need here a getter, the first roll. I need that, okay? Get roll1. Only now I add the getter, and then get roll1. So bonus is the next frame roll1 if I have a next frame. So help me God. Ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la. I can do this. I can do this. The good news is that you can't break the behavior before. You have tested every single condition. The tests are already there. Honestly, I'm 50% lost right now. What if the first roll is a 10? That's the strike. That's the strike. That's the strike. And then we will move to strike. Thank you. So you are answering your own questions. Very good. Should the frame also contain the base score? Yes, perhaps. Why? I mean, I will give up summing this. Very good. But before that, boom. Let's see. What am I doing wrong? I plus 1. Index 20. Where? Score. Here. Why? What's that? Why? Add the frame. I've tried to do a get here.
In the chat, some people are pointing out like line 37 or 36. Let's have a look. Yeah.
Rolls -1, you say?
I think we're just adding. We're saying I plus plus.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Yes, big one. It's I plus equal to.
Yeah.
I moved from 2 to 2. Thank you. Guilam is like, hey, Victor, line 36, please. What are you doing? Thank you. Amazing. All right. And the base score, of course, the base score. Let's do that while we wait for tests. Long live Quarkus. Method, base score, which is just return, of course, roll1 plus roll2. Amazing, good. And this is an int, and then we can do this very easily by also using frames instead of rolls. But still, we're green. Okay, we're green. So relax a bit. Clean up the part that we've replaced, and now move to this part. This should be frames dot map to int base score, and then sum. So help me God. One more. What the heck is happening? What the hell is this? All right, relax, it's all recorded. So I frame equals, good. IntelliJ tries to push me to do a collect, but I will resist the temptation over here. I won't do that, it's too much. Okay, just relax a bit. Okay, starting the frames in one go. This is actually a transformation here. Build frames. I am refactoring because I'm on green, right? That's why I'm allowed to refactor. What else? This part over here is computing bonus. And now, are we able to do the strike? Oh my god. Ouch. What will change? The frames will change. How we construct the frames here. This implementation detail here. I will want to see the test read first, and then make it pass. In the meantime, can someone be so kind as to compute me what happens if you fire 21 of, not 21, if you only fire strikes, strike until the game is over? That will mean a strike here, strike 300. Thank you, Stephen. That will be the last test to write. Index out of bounds. I would expect such an error. Good. And then if rolls get of I is 10, then what? Well, then my frames will be added just to a new frame in which I will say it's 10, right? 10, 0. Huh? All right, else this. Let's see. At least no errors first. Yeah, go. I know I'm a bit of time, so don't just leave. We'll come back later. Watch the review. It's not much left, right? Should we check first if first plus second are less than 10? First plus second are less than 10. It beats me that Nemanja. Strike. What's wrong here? The number of my friend. This is not correct. E++ here, and in case I ate both, I do I++ once more, so help me God. Folks, I'm guessing. I told you, I did this kata last time 5 years ago or 4 years ago. I'm guessing. It's not. The tell strike is a spare. Let's see. Yes, indeed. That will count as a. Oh my God, you Angelo, very good. Someone saw that this will count now as a spare, not as a strike. What does that mean? It counts here, adding here 11. You see, look, it's 13. 11 means a spare. It will count like a spare. So I have to change the spare test here. The spare means that they are equal to 0 and roll 2 is 0. Run. I could do one more optimization here. This thing over here, this is different than 0 or is 0? Different than 0. You're right. Different than 0. I could do another thing here. This is the spare look always the same. Let's leave it. It's enough for the. What do we have here? The strike is. But I broke some other tests. I think I ran the wrong code before you told me to change the Boolean condition. So let's run again. Okay. And now what should I do? What would be the end of it? I should here. It's red. Here, and it's good. It's 12, not 14. 12 meaning like a regular call. Here I need to do stuff. Is strike. This is strike will look like is pair, but it's a bit different. Is strike. This one is 0, and roll 2 is 0. Now, if it's strike, then what? Well, we are close to the point, but there will be one trick left. Let's see if I see it correctly. Where are we? Here, I will add this and the roll number 2. Roll, which I need to put a getter for. Get roll number 2. Let's run. There will be an issue. There will be an issue that will occur in a couple of moments. Actually, the best way, you know what? Let's write the God game, which is composed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12 of 12 strikes. 12 is green. 12 strikes. 12 strikes. Just a second. Inline this and keep the method here. 12 strikes. Am I correct? 12? It's 10 plus 2 more in the last one. You can do a strike here, a strike here, a strike here. If I recall correctly, let's see. Will this give me 300? 9 strikes plus 3 in the last frame. Correct, 12. Good, thank you. There is a problem. No, not 12 times 10. No. There is a problem. Light 82. Ooh, yeehaw, sorry. My bad. There is a problem. One last problem that I will leave you to fix, really. One last problem will be. You see what I'm doing here? I'm adding the rolls for the next frame, assuming the next frame is not a strike. If I do strike after strike, I don't take into account. But that's a homework! Ladies and gentlemen, that's a homework. Fix strike after strike. The in prod at line 58. Something is fishy at line 58. Okay? Commit that. I will paste in the chat right now the Git coordinates of this. I will also leave them a second on the screen for you to see them here. Okay? This is the Git coordinates. If you want to continue this exercise, it's in the chat in Zoom and also in the chat in YouTube. That's it. A bit too insane for this time, but very cool. Very cool. Just this slide that should finish with some theory, right? The summary. This is what they say. So again, coming back, we're at a failing test or a new feature that is not implemented yet. You see the test. You fire questions, early questions. You see the test failing, which proves the test is correct. It happened for us once to have a wrong test. You make it pass, not caring about quality, so that then you are feeling awkward, and then you find natural to refactor. When you refactor, you don't change behavior. You either refactor production or tests, okay? And this is where you apply clean code, extracting duplication and stuff like that, running tests. And then you take the next feature. And the next feature, start with the happy path and slice features down. Now, there is one more thing. If you write a test and it's already green, there are 3 possibilities. You retested something that was already implemented, you have a bug in the test, or it's a remarkable case, like the 300. A remarkable case that you want to put in there. And then if you try to make it pass and you break other tests, or if it takes you a lot of time to make the test green, then what TDD tells you to do is a bit more advanced, to go back. What I did, I commented the test, remember? I went and said, okay, let's comment the test. Come back here, revert back to refactor. And in the refactor, we prepared the code for the new feature, stayed on green, and then came back with the test. And don't add untested behavior when you refactor stuff. I was about to do that. Oh, let me just... wait a second. I didn't test that. So stop and take it very baby steps, okay? And you do design along the way. You decide that when we designed the test of the strike, we realized, wait a second, we need actually Ralph pointed out, hey, it's time to introduce the frame. TDD rocks because you get real protection about bugs, about regressions. You have courage to refactor, more early question or requirements, better refinement on design, more careful design all the time, and simple code, simplicity. We never introduce frame until the end, basically, which is very good. Takes time to master the problem, slower at first, much harder when mocks are involved. The suggestion that you had, hey, let's test frame isolation. Wait a second, I don't want to open that box now. And frustrating when the requirements fluctuate. There is the largest e-shop in Romania. I don't give names here, but they have a problem with changing requirements every week. And they had to tell me, they told me, well, Victor, what to do? Should I write tests? Of course you should write tests, but it takes more time. So, it's your house, it's your home, it's your safety, yeah? So write tests. Oh, it will be more expensive for them to change tomorrow. So, it's even better you fire more questions to them to clarify, to help them clarify the requirements. So that's not really a reason. Oh la la, okay, if you want to read more, what have to tell you? Of course, the classic TDD by example by Kent Beck. It's a classic. This one. And the other book about the other style of testing of TDD is called driving object-oriented software driven by tests. After that, driven by tests. By what's the name of the author? My mistake. This is it. I should know that. Steve Freeman, yes, of course. Steve Freeman. All right. Growing, yes. Yes, I hope it helps. Yes, I'll have to go myself. Thanks a lot. As usual, a bit off time. Right, felt amazing. There were some questions. If I will still remain to answer the questions. There were some questions that I didn't got to answer. Some stuff about using TDD for React applications. TDD in frontend. Only for custom components, in my opinion. I mean, not for screens. Depending on the culture of any other questions, please come back and ask them again. Or if maybe Ralph, maybe Mihai, if you want to add something, I don't know, some points that I missed, some ideas that maybe you or someone who practices TDD, maybe there is a very important point that I missed to highlight. Many of you did TDD in production systems, so tell me.
I think one thing that couldn't be emphasized enough is this refactoring phase. Really take care also of the code of the tests. Otherwise, they will blow up at some point because you're just creating that much lines of code that are really unnecessary.
2-3 times more test code than production. Care for it. Refactor tests.
And also one thing I experienced, this is my personal rule of thumb. If you need more than 10 minutes to write the test, your test case is too big.
Yep. In 10 minutes, you should finish writing the test and implementing it. I'm more brutal. Specifying it and implementing it. If it takes more, you jumped on a very large feature. You should slice it more. Okay? Feature slicing, that's what you should do. Cut more behavior out. Right. Super cool. Other points? You or maybe someone who practice also TDD a lot. Let's see. TCR. Yes, TCR is insane. Did you try in a reactive project? Ouch! Damn it! Reactive programming. Ouch! It always kills me. Reactive programming is a paradigm to orchestrate asynchronous parallel flows of signals. I do not want to write heavy business logic in a reactive application, or at least not using Flux and Mono. That is a mistake. It is a design mistake to write heavy business logic in a reactive flow. Try to separate logic in a method that doesn't have anything to do with reactive, takes inputs, returns outputs, a pure function, and test that like hell. Don't play with test verifier and step verifier and the test publisher. No, don't do that. And it's insane. The tests are too heavy. And there are too many other concerns to keep in mind. Timeouts, back pressure. Oh my God. No. Separate the stuff that is logic and test drive that part separately. Okay, that's the reactive is a presentation integration concern, not a core business concern. TDD goes for your code domain logic. Yes, Risto, that's it. That's the best explanation. That's a better answer to your question. Thank you very much.
There are also 2 new good questions on YouTube.
Please, when you have some
business logic algorithm, you need a lot of tests describing all cases and branches. Yeah, that's true. But isn't that worth testing your core business logic?
Thank you.
What else is more important than that?
Exactly. I mean, if it's very complex and a cyclomatic point, many branches to go through, and those things will change tomorrow. How would you know it didn't break anything? So that's where you want to put most of your tests. Very good. Very good.
What about integration tests? Also a good one.
Fact. Consumer-driven contract tests. You can do TDD across APIs. I have a recording about that. But there are there are other people smarter than me talking about Pact. Those designing part, of course. But here, I also have my own take on
can
that.
actually detect.
And you can write the test there, and then you move the contract across the network, basically across the project into the provider part. TDD on the API. It's amazing. Watch this video if you didn't. So that's the full-fledged answer. How to introduce TDD into tests that are already in codebase. If they are complex, they can cover many cases. Bad test. Let's not judge. Larger scoped tests do have their value. Should I do myself and not care about existing to cover my new cases? So you have tests, already have tests. Long, I imagine like black box or end-to-end acceptance large tests. Good. Now, how do we introduce TDD in there? I don't think TDD is a mindset, is a practice. Maybe tests. How do you write more tests? I guess you want more finer grained tests, smaller tests than the ones that you already have. Exactly. Well, how do I approach this? Doing this just for fun is a risky thing. I wouldn't advise. It's a waste of time. So what do I advise? Anytime you have to change anything in that code, you start by extracting method, extracting class, and testing in very much detail the stuff that you extracted, and then changing it. So you write tests the moment you have to change some stuff inside. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. If you don't have to change it, if you don't want, yeah, Mihai.
In my experience, this is usually a symptom of the system under test not being designed in such a way to be easily testable via unit tests. So if that's your case, the first step to being able to run any kind of TDD would be to design or refactor the existing code so that you can do more focused tests. This will not necessarily be easy or painless. It will also strain your testing framework. But once you get through those woods, you'll be in a lot better position.
Very good, very good. So you start by decoupling, by refactoring.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk vicious. This is a very, I think in another presentation, this is a very old problem of how do we refactor, how do we refactor tests that doesn't have unit test? Code that doesn't have unit tests. That is the, let me find, the classical vicious circle of legacy code. I can't refactor because I don't have tests, but I can't write a test for 200 lines of method. So unfortunately, the only way to break this vicious circle is to do some risky refactoring by pair programming and using as much IDE as you can. So to break out of this cycle, you use extract method, you use extract delegate, you use the IDE refactorings, safe refactorings, proven, take them out, take the stuff that matters for you out, cover that with tests, and then as you add more tests, you refactor more and you cut more, and you can't just sit and write tests, but you can't either go and say, let me go Tarzan style here because I want to refactor. You can't do that. You will break stuff. So it's step by step tests, and you start by first refactoring a bit. Pair programming. Ralph, you want to add something?
Oh, you've seen that? Yes.
Of course. I'm seeing everything.
I have to say, I became a quite big fan of approval testing in that case. If you have legacy code without tests, or you can't trust the tests, actually it helps you to cover functionality. So you get into the position of doing some refactorings. And if you add pair programming and all that stuff, you're pretty good settled.
When you say approval tests,
I
you mean
Golden Master.
Oh, Golden Master. Okay. So can you explain what that is?
You explained it 1,000 times, me not.
I wanted to challenge you. How do you explain Golden Master? What do you mean by approval testing? Come on. You tell and I write.
Testing is a library. You can find
it's a technique, not a library. No, not a library. It's a technique.
It's also a library. There's a library called approval testing. And by golden master, actually, you're only interested, you consider the code that you're about to test as a black box. And you're interested only about the input and the output. And the new stuff is that you record the output for the corresponding input. And by persisting that scenario, you can start doing refactorings and compare if the output for the same input is still the same. And this is mostly done on a textual basis. So this means you're printing out the state of an object that is the result of your logic.
Very good. So you record in production input outputs in a textual form. Think JSON.
Yeah, for example.
And then you record several thousands, millions of such test cases from production, and you replay the test cases, input outputs, on the refactored version. The test should still be green. Okay, so this is the most important part. You consider the code that you are about to test as a black box that is correct, and you want to freeze the behavior. You want to prove you did not change the existing behavior. We did not change the current behavior, whatever that is. You don't know what's inside, so you fire inputs until all the code coverage is green on the tested code. At least that. You record everything, or you record from production, and you replay into your golden master. It's very hard to do. I know.
I also pasted the link to the GitHub repo. I like that library a lot.
Okay. It's you put it on the okay here
on YouTube and in Zoom.
I didn't know about this. Wow.
Oh, then we have a
My
new
bad.
topic. We have a new topic
to do clearly. We can, maybe you can. Why not? Nice. Good. Very good. Other points? What's the learning curve? It's hard to tell what's the learning curve. Guess who's coming next week?
Oh yes, it's next week.
Guess who's coming for dinner? Guess who's coming next week to tell you about... So Ralph will tell you next week about how he organized a team of very experienced developers to align them in a sense, and to speak the same language about clean code and good practices. So he will have the whole stage next week for this. Good. What else? I think we're done. Comments here. Cypress for React app takes more than 10 minutes. I've heard of 6 hours. I believe that some business may use wrong idea for solving their problems, so we refactor not the code only something. This is business, exactly. We ask uncomfortable questions to business. We ask questions that help them reach some breakthrough. Say, and that's actually the also coming in the direction of a domain-driven design. Saying, wait a second, I want to help my business by questions and establishing a common ground and common language with them. Yeah. All right, but now we're straying apart. BDD, I see in the chat. Yeah, okay. Good. Yes, feature files, Guillaume, very good. If you can write a feature file like an acceptance test before you start a complex requirement, that's a very good thing. Feature files, folks. I kept mentioning this for many times. All right. Good. I think that's enough. Maybe one more opinion if someone wants to contribute more. Someone battle hardened in TDD in real life. Maybe some opinion from you folks. Maybe some words. I'm curious. I don't want to push anyone, but let's see. I will say 10 minutes, 10 seconds. So maybe someone wants to break the ice. And yeah, Mihai, please.
I'll dare comment a little bit on the Cypress thing because it's something that pushes my wrong buttons. Usually, Cypress isn't used for the kind of test you want to use TDD for. So there's a whole bunch of kind of tests that don't fit into TDD. So you really can't do TDD for everything. So that's my personal opinion. So feel free to contradict me.
Totally agree.
But for things like integration or end-to-end, it doesn't make that much sense to do TDD. And Cypress is really focused on end-to-end testing.
The author of TDD, Kent Beck, had a podcast, a series of podcasts about TDD several years ago with some guy which was very angry about TDD. And Martin Fowler, Kent Beck, these are the apostles of programming. You should watch this. It's mind-blowing. And the conclusion after you listen, TDD is not for everything. They all agree that, right? Not for everything. It's for core business logic, cyclomatic complexity, very hard to understand, many branches, many cases, and not for integration tests, not for user experience tests, not for acceptance tests many times, but although BDD can fit the gap, it's just for crafting complex business logic. That's where you get the most benefit from it. Of course, there are some teams that try to TDD everything. Very cool, fascinating. They do a great job. But the best benefit, this is a very tricky. Some people will say you TDD or you are stupid. You either TDD or you're stupid. I don't buy that. I don't think that. And from my point of view, as a coach, as a teacher, if I want, I like TDD so much because it's one of the best ways that you can use to learn, to practice, to explore, even in production code, ideas, different. How many ideas do we have? Oh, should we store the bonus field? Let's do that. Let's try. It gets a bit ugly. Let's move to other. Right. But TDD is not for everything. Correct. And Cypress is probably an example of that. It's not. Good. 10 more seconds. Another opinion? If not, we'll end this. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2. Thanks. Done. Good. All right. That's it. We'll end the stream. Stop the sharing. Thank you very much for being here. See you next week. Haha. Good. Bye. End stream here and here. See you for the next one. And yes, please.